wouldn't let me. It's only
That
letting me join with my phone.
that's weird. It's probably something to do with that
I know.
VPN thing. I had a VPN in Mexico, and there were times I had to shut it down, but I had to close all the windows out in order for it to pick up the new VPN. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh, it probably does.
Let's see here.
I would
Uh,
imagine.
Lynn. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I just was going through our old messages too, and I saw these people that live in your area that you were talking about, the Emmy Award guy and his partner. This is from a couple years ago, and I guess in the the massive influx of messages like I'm getting right now, I missed it because occasionally I'll miss one, but I'll go back and look at that, and if it's still something that is feasible, we can do that. Get them on. It's been a long time.
Why
Oh,
not?
we're live now. Oh, let
Why
me.
not?
I
Yay.
just tagged you, and let me just share it real quick
Okay.
into the Soulogy Network channels.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're good. All right, we're all done. All right, here we go. We got 6 people in the house. Are coming in now, and we have an old friend here. Been a while since we've seen each other. Lynn, coming from Minnesota, right?
Minnesota.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
lots of
yeah.
happening here.
Yeah, lots happening everywhere. I may be up that way this summer. I'm going to go to South Dakota. I think toward the end of the summer.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna leave third week in May and start traveling around and going to sacred spots and go to the mountains. And but I do have the Pine Ridge Reservation on my route because I've got some friends that live there and I've been called there, and so I'm going to go. But yeah, there's so much to talk about. You're doing this podcast with Sufi, and
Yep.
also I know you're into the movement thing, and I'm real interested in the Tai Chi. It's been on my back burner for years, but I really want to dip into that. So maybe we can even talk about that a little bit. But yeah, so welcome back. Thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. What's going on? It's been probably four years since we last connected, maybe longer. A lot's going on. These we're talking about the gap contains the COVID years, I guess you might say. And God, it's just so cool to be able to sit down with people and see what they're picking up on and what their experience is in their retelling of their journey. But so, how you been? How's it going?
I mean, so it has been like 4 years, I think. And I was on a trip in Florida with some friends at the time and had a little interview then, but so much has changed, right? Um, we went through a lot, during like what you said, COVID, and all that. Um, but things are open and they're changing, I believe. I loved all your shows today. I was able to listen to a few of them, and you had some really interesting people on. Talked about some very interesting points of perspective, and I can't wait to talk about some of it. I mean, you mentioned one that I definitely want to discuss is the blue light, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Hmm.
yeah. I don't know what's up with that, but it's been going on. Well, I think it's always going on. People have talked about the blue orbs, and um, we've had for the last 2 weeks or so, we've had these magenta pink and greens and violets popping up on the screen during the shows. I mean, I can't see them. The guests can't see them, but people keep making these comments, and I'm sending pictures and stuff. But the blue orbs, yeah, that seems to be a really big theme. With this three eye atlas, Bliss Diggins, who comes on Tuesdays, he's been interfacing with what is referred to as a Syrian blue star consciousness, which later came and told him was the three eye atlas. And then some of the sisters that are tapped in have been talking about it's the Divine Mother Arc. Of course, there's the Hopi Kachina, Blue Kachina, Syrian, Andromedan. I mean, there's just there's something going on there. And then when I've mentioned it on shows, I'm always getting messages or comments of people saying I'm seeing blue orbs. So I don't know what that is, but I guess I just know as a little kid, that was always my favorite color. Like the different shades of blue. And so I don't know what it means. So much of what's coming in now doesn't come with a verbalization, at least not immediately. But I don't know. What does it
Well,
mean to you?
and that's kind of what I want to talk about. I mean, a lot's changed in my life. I'm now almost 4 years into my study of traditional Chinese medicine, and I teach Qigong. If none of you really know who I am, my name is Lynn Marie. I am the founder of Chi Flow Academy. We practice Qigong.
You just cut out. Did you hit something? Did you did you hit something?
Is
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone called me. I apologize.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
good.
I
You're good.
apologize.
Don't worry
I
about it.
believe I, there's an energetic component here that we're all missing. Some of us maybe not. Some of us are feeling it. And, so I want to just dive right into my core feelings and what I wanted to talk about after I listened to some of the episodes you had earlier today and some of the recent ones. And I loved your video you had where I'm breaking it open and, the old Todd is back and I can't wait to see what you do, Mr. Medina. I honestly can't wait. I loved the, discussion you had about your family and coming back home to Corpus Christi. I believe that, how, when you said that, it's just so coming back to home, um, prodigal son, I think of that kind of thing, but you had such a wonderful experience. I heard you mention it on your show about your mom and dad, and you are blessed, man, that you can sit at a table and they've been loving each other like that, and from a distance maybe, but they have new eyes now, maybe. Um, I had that with my first husband. He We always had a pretty good relationship, but when he died, he came and lived with me. And it was just the most normal experience. But you have to see things in a different way in order for those things to flow to you, right? In order to let those things be experienced in your life. And now I'm going to be a little off here now and probably jump into a bucket that I want to jump into with you, but I'm going to. So, right, I'm going to go right away. So Jesus wasn't fighting a political war, by the way, against Rome, or he wasn't fighting a religious war against the Pharisees. He was fighting a psychological war against the ruler of this world. And what Carl Jung identified as the collective shadow and the Gnostics called the demiurge, right? And so I believe that there's this energetic reality, and the disciples of Jesus didn't even see it. They actually experienced it. The 12 men with him daily saw these miracles, but they really never understood what he was actually doing, right? They thought he was fighting a political war or a religious one, right, with the Rome or Pharisees. And they were stuck in this, what I call psychic inflation. They're actually unable to see past this own collective identity. And we've been in that now for how long? And I think we're finally getting out of it. We're getting out of that collective identity. And that's where our physical eyes, because they're our central channel in our body, and I think they've been blocked by the ruler of the world. And my lovely practice, Qigong, helps energy, and it helps stuck energy. And a lot of us are in this survival and fear mode, which lowers our energy. And you literally cannot, when you're in that, perceive any higher dimensional reality. So what they saw, those 12 men, they saw bread. They saw him breaking the bread. They saw temples and Jesus talking about the things and knocking tables over and everything. But I don't think they saw his internal landscape. And we've been in this for this whole time. And like I said, a lot of people might not believe in the word Jesus. And I believe he was a master. I, am not a Taoist. I was a Catholic. I was brought up a Catholic. Um, and I believe that there is a ruler of this world that creates this demiurge of stagnation within our body. And Jesus repeatedly referenced a ruler of this world, right? Who has no power over me, he kept saying. And so this demiurge, this shadow collection that we all talk about in our level, in our realm, right? Um, so it's honestly the architect of prison that makes us all look down at the material world instead of looking up at the divine, right? And this prison isn't made of stone. It's not material. It's actually in our fascia, in the contractions as we breathe. It gets stuck in our organs. You were talking about your kidneys. I know, right? That's the seat of fear. And the demiurge uses it to keep us in this survival mode, especially our liver too. Our liver right now, kidneys and liver are a time that we're experiencing with traditional Chinese medicine. It's wood season, time of new growth. We're seeing it outside. But the seat of the unconscious rage that a lot of us are having, and Jung saw this in the God of the Old Testament, right? That Jesus was fighting this stagnation, this collected, um, and they didn't get it. They did not get it. They did not get that toxic energy burden that keeps us heavy, tired, and reactive. So there's my beginning, and I just jumped right in.
No, I'm loving this. This is why I love this show. Well, I look at everything as obviously energy. And so ultimately everything is more metaphoric than literal, but although there is a literal aspect to it. So it's a really weird kind of paradoxical thing because, I am not only human, but the only way to get there is to fully become aware in my own, comfortable in my own skin, embodiment, whatever you want to call it. And the human cannot be neglected or obscured. It has to be like that. This is what we came for. But I've always found it very interesting because I look at everything, I question everything. And so I know that the golden thread of truth and reality, no matter what the realm, no matter who the world's ruler is, no matter what, it's always there in everything. But I find it interesting, the Bible. I find it very interesting when they talk about the firmament. Because I've always looked at this realm being in a far corner of the multiverse, kind of in an upside down fishbowl that runs in its own way for whatever reason, and that's where the demiurge comes in, the archonic thing comes in. And then there are some that have spoken in this way, the Gnostics being one, like the Nag Hammadi. A lot of that, about a quarter of that is in regard to this, and there's some fascinating reading in there. And again, these were people that lived 2,000 years ago. And then you look at the Council of Nicaea, 323, they took out the Book of Enoch, Magdalene, Philip, Thomas, and the Gnostics and such. So somebody had some foresight to bring us to this point, and I think what you're talking about in terms of both energy and biological, in terms of the fascia, is ultimately tied to what you're talking about, which is not to flat line, and say this is the way things are, and that's just the way it is. Stagnation is another way to say it. But so what does that imply? It implies movement, energetic movement, physical movement, which has been very, very dear to me since I rewoke in 2011. Like, I have to go walk. I have to do that. I may not do the Tai Chi that I want to practice or other calisthenics or disciplines, but I know I have to move. I have to keep moving. And that includes energy, right? That includes in all of its forms. So be it expressing from the throat chakra or sharing space with somebody else and opening up becoming more transparent together and merging our energies. That takes movement. And if you look at the base, there's so many different ways to look at this, but let's just focus on the heart for the sake of this discussion, at least my part. Everything has led to, these traumas, the suffering, the pain, whatever. You close the heart. You close the heart. You close the heart. It affects your communication, your connections, your relationships, your everything, right? And so I really feel that the movement, although we don't have a guarantee, like, okay, I'm gonna go out and make this movement occur or whatever. I don't know what's going to be on the other side, but I know one thing: it's not stagnation. And so I know the universe will meet me on the other side, regardless of what choice I make, with that love and that wisdom and that reverence. It was so cool. I was talking to a sister yesterday on the show, or was it today? I can't remember. I think it was Jenny today, and she said she was telling a story, and she said it was. I feel that there's a lot of people in their own way coming to the same place, and I think you explained it much better than I did. Your turn. Thank you.
Well, so yes, and Jenny said it very well. She's actually the one who put a little bit of this in my thought today that I'm like, okay, I got to talk about God. She already dipped into it, so I'm going to, right? And it's so internal because we are the spark of divine light, and we need to look up and see, right? And see but we, unfortunately, and I hate to say we do this, we do, I hate to be, well, I hate any of that. Everyone has to do you. But the prison has no walls, and it's made entirely of what you refuse to look at.
Yes.
You can be anywhere and be in prison. You don't have to be in a locked four-wall room and not a way to get out. I think it's the greatest trick that we're somewhere else. And we're really just right here. And there's so many, in my practice now, I've learned there's probably 15,000 forms of Qigong. There's at least 2,000 forms of meditation in this world, right? So that's a lot of energetic imprinting that people have been trying unconsciously, I think, to understand but it's been so, like, with my Sifu now, we're having this show, Sifu and Sage. I'm trying to get all the information out of him because they've been dripping it in the East. They basically, that was their thing. You had to be studying in this lineage, and he just sent me the little tree I got to add stuff to, so I'm adding on this lineage thing that I want exposed. It shouldn't be like, I'm going to drip this information to you because you know it now. Now, I get it. I'm ready for it now. But I don't think it should be, they have so much energetic knowledge that has been withheld, is, I guess, my thing. And that we can look at it in a different way of this internal, external, right? And trying to, I don't know, understand. Maybe Jesus did know that he handpicked those 12 dudes, right? Who saw him walk on water, and the word got out there. And actually, I went to church with my daughter over Easter, and he was talking about the three women, and back then they never talked about three women. The three women were never discussed in the same room a man was in, right? They wouldn't have believed them for nothing. But that belief has held through all eternity. I don't know why, since for 2,000 years, we just for 100 years ago, we finally started listening to women, and in the 1970s, when I first got my own checking account, 1972, I had to have a man sign for me. So we're still pretty new at this. But back then, those three women were believed. So we're in a just a reset, right? I think, and we have to just realize this and be so gentle and kind with us and understand that we're this spark of divine light, and our senses and our channels um, just want us to understand and be one with them. I mean, that's what I teach every day. If you join one of my classes, I have a YouTube. You can go out and watch any of them. Like today, I mean, we talk to our senses. We open up to expose ourselves to the universe, and we breathe in and we bring it in to our body, right? And let it feel our within, because we are just a spark of divine light that is brilliant if you allow it.
Yeah, you said a lot there. There's a lot to unpack. No, there is. I mean, it's there's a lot there. I think first of all, you have the whole idea of our feminine essence in all of us. Doesn't matter what gender we are. It's you know, if you go back into history pre 2,000 years ago, there's a lot of evidence of the goddess and her stature in the early civilizations, and there's also a lot of evidence of the removal of that, right? Which is probably part of the reason for the Council of Nicaea, right? It's mind blowing to think that women in the United States had to protest in what 1920s to get the vote, and then the thing with the checking account, which I didn't even know till a couple of years ago. I thought that's mind blowing.
I know.
Ownership and all that stuff. So there was a real push in this leg of the journey. Okay, because I know if I just look at some of the past memories, of past life memories, you might say, particularly Lemuria was very matriarchal. There's other mythologies out there which we know are all part of our story, and they're not something made up. So I mean, there's been this back and forth, right? But I think it's become obvious, certainly in these circles over the years, over the last 15 years or so, where I remember when I got onto social media in 2012, people were talking about Mama's home. The divine feminine has landed. We're not taking any crap anymore, and it was a whole tidal wave of this. I am a woman. I am feminine. We are feminine. We're missing that. We've been suppressed, and so on. And I feel like obviously the feminine have led the way. Our feminine essence has led the way, and it feels like over the last year or so that the other side of us has come to meet that. And it feels like we're in a position to rebirth, to take creative life force energy, sacred sexual energy, whatever you want to call it, within ourselves and with each other, to a higher level that's never occurred before, because we've gone into the depths or to the dissension levels that have provided the contrast and the backdrop for us to be able to realize something greater than we knew. It's like expanding the light. How do you expand the light? Do you turn more light on? Or do you go into the dark and the depth and, kind of swim around in that to realize, which I think is what's happening now. People are saying, I've had enough of this. And there's also seems to be a natural unfoldment and an organic unfoldment where the third energy that we create together, where two or more gather, is really what I might call a universal energy, which is really starting to assist us and meet us and reciprocate with us immediately based on our higher states of awareness and the choices that we're making. So it's really mind-blowing because you can't prove it in views or subscribers or any other metric that you want to use that's based on the old paradigm that we're transforming from. It's done one by one, mano y mano, me and the universe. I can't convince you. You can't convince me. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. But the really cool thing is I do believe that the gist of this effort is to now do what we came into this realm, regardless of the distortion it provided, to do what we've done within ourselves, but with another mirror, a physical, dense mirror in comparison to the rest of our multidimensionality. So it's mind blowing, and like a lot of people say, and I got to believe it, over the years doing this show, listening to different people in their own way, that the whole universe is watching us and just mind blown. Like, how are they doing it in these bodies? And I feel like it's the same pattern of navigation to advancement or expansion, which ultimately, figuratively, and literally is movement. So that's why I think it's so important for you to bring this to the table today. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Hmm. Wow. I definitely have to unpack that one. Because and the thing is, there's people that can't move. That I have students that are laying in bed, but they have to move in their head. Your body, there's so much study now about placebos. And so if you put yourself, like, say you can't walk, I have a student who can't walk he's in a wheelchair, and I'm like, okay, so let's take a walk. Let's set a timer. And for 20 minutes, you're going to go take a walk, right? At the end of that 20 minutes, right, his body thought he took a walk. And so movement's great. And I love it. I think if you can move, you should move every single day. But I think how we determine who's running the show. There's so many masks we can put on. Most of us leave and go to a job and we take off our mask and we step out the door and put a different one on. And we're almost tricking ourselves when we do that because it's all fake. I'm so sick of the fake. And it's all coming out. The fake's all coming out. All those Kardashians, right? it's all happening that's really not the fight you want, because all that good looks and all that at the end of the day, that's not going to get you very far. What your last person was talking about, that you can have all the money in the world and have everything at your disposal, but you still don't have it, right? That we have,
Yeah,
or
it's
I
like,
shouldn't say we have, but that you
well,
can have.
yeah, it's like what you're talking about. It's in what you're saying that Jesus talked about. What is it really? It's a self limitation imposed by ourselves. Now, whether it was imposed by ourselves because somebody suggested it or not doesn't even matter. It's just getting to the awareness that, oh, wait a minute, I'm not in a cage, I'm not in a prison. There's a couple of videos that I find very interesting out there. One of them is ants. I don't know if you've ever seen it. They put an ant or two on a piece of paper, and then they obviously can go wherever they want, but they draw a line around it, and the ants will not cross that border, which isn't even real. It's just the surface painted a different color. And the other one, I believe, are fleas. They put these fleas in a glass. They cover it with like saran wrap. So when they try to go up or whatever it is, they hit their head and they can't go any further. They remove the top, and the fleas won't come out of the glass because they're still conditioned. So I find that very intriguing, because this is really speaks to what we're talking about, what you're talking about. And again, this isn't strictly a contemporary conversation. This is something that somebody was walking around talking about 2,000 years ago. And God knows and Goddess knows that there were many other prophets and prophetesses that we've not been privy to, at least through conventional history retelling, right? But that's really what it is. I mean, I feel like we're getting to a point now, which was kind of like part of my thing the other day on Monday when I was driving down the road, was, you know, I'm going to go for it, because what do I have to lose? What are they going to do? Kill me? Like, come on, I'm a soul. You know what I mean? Like, this is not our first rodeo. And I will say this straight up. I don't care. Good actors, bad actors, good guys, bad guys, which is all a perspective, depending on where you're standing. But every single soul that has come on this earth, especially now, is a valiant, brave, courageous, powerful, mature soul. May not look that way from wherever you're standing, you know what I mean? But this has been, as a lot of people have said, Dolores Cannon, Edgar Casey, Franco De Nicola, so many people have talked about this is the toughest planetary experience, toughest realm, toughest university, toughest playground, whatever you want to call it, that the universe has ever seen. And I believe the most important thing is getting to these points of awareness and then actualizing them, which speaks back again to the movement. We didn't come here just to wake up and go, oh wow, okay, I'm a soul and I'm eternal. No, the universe doesn't do anything because it's a simulation. I guess you could say it's all a simulation from the point that the original soul or cell split. Because really you're always going to go back to that. You're always that is you. But so what do we do with it? Now, what do we do with it? And if you can base it on what we've experienced, as my soul told me in 2011 when this happened to me, when I reawoke, whatever you do, don't do anything you've done before. And that has served me so well. And that means, when we get the guidance to go do something crazy, you do it. If it doesn't make sense, it's probably more likely you need to go do it. But also to try something different because we know through the process of repetition what the old patterns have done for us. So this is a really challenging a challenging time, but at the same time, it's prolific. And I feel like there's many of us kind of congealing now, coalescing now into a force that we're not quite aware of on a conscious level, but it's happening. And the more that we sit down and talk about it, and people tell the story from their own perspective, to me, it's not the words, it's the energy that they're emitting. I just received a message from a lady, I don't know her. She wrote me a message and said, I'm really inspired by, the people that come on your show. I had a really tumultuous life. I understand it. I've been asked to write about it. I never have because I don't think people would understand it or we would even believe it. But in essence, she said, I, as a soul, chose this very dark path to get to a point and accomplish, where I'm at now, kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about. It's being able to look back at everything truly and not just words, not lip service, and say, wow, every step was divine. Every single one of them. Right? Bingo. Thank you.
And you are so true that, right, every single step we take is divinely, but we don't see it. And like, you were mentioning about how we change, and my Sifu says you should take responsibility like an adult, but act like a child. We lose that childlike character within us, and we take everything so seriously all the time. And I think that's part of the transformation that, and the person that you just talked to, now being able to calmly review in the rear view mirror how all that struggle though had purpose, right? That now she has some guiding forward thinking to make sense of it all and transform then that darkness into light. And I think that is the essence of it. I think that's the reason we were shown the resurrection that Jesus gave us, that this in traditional Chinese medicine, we talk about transformation. It's our essence. That's what we're doing all the time, transforming into our spirit, into our Han. But I believe with the Jesus part of it, he just didn't survive. He transcended. He showed everyone. But we all thought it differently. We thought, oh, he saved our sins. Okay, it's something else differently out there. It wasn't anything we have to do like him. No, it's I think the Demiurge used it as this form of way of making it, I don't know. Anyway, but I believe that that we're pure consciousness at the end of the day. If you look at us under a microscope, we're quantum, and you were wondering how can we know from this quantum from the next? I wonder that myself, and someday I will actually know. I'm getting there. I'm getting little blips of knowing, and I think that's it. I think that the ultimate thing is that we get these little bits, and we have to accept them and realize them as this transformation that's happening within us, that we're trying to be this shiny, I think, crystal palace, if you will, within us. And I think the divine one is just trying to see how shiny can you get? How shiny can you? How shiny can you get? How shiny can you get? I want to. Oh, you over there. You're part of me. How can you get like me? Can you get as shiny as me? Oh, I want to see how shiny you can get. And then we get those little things then that shine us up, that brighten us up, that transform us into this pure light consciousness that we are. That and like you said, there's so many kingdoms around this world that they've had a birth, where Jesus had the divine birth, and then he at age 33 was on the cross. I mean, there's like 6 different occurrences of those same types of things. So Jesus wasn't the only one. I think someone's been trying to tell us a lot. We need to make this transformation, and it's just not, we have to be saved from our sin.
Yeah, I mean yeah, I mean we're talking about psyops. We're talking about psyop sounds like a very contemporary term, but for instance, why in the Bible would they speak in Revelations of the apocalypse, right? Which, by the way, everyone knows. I think the etymology of that means revealing, unveiling. Everything's going to come out. The truth will prevail. But and then you have these apparatus of what we might call the matrix or whatever that is distorted, whatever. And so there's this whole push to create a mindset that there is going to be these doomsday things happen in this day and age. Now, I've just been doing this since 2012, and I have seen the due dates move up from 2050, 2070 to 2032 to 2027 to 2026. Ultimately, that tells me that we're dictating this. We've also had a lot of things that were forecasted that didn't occur. We've had hurricanes that were probably not genetically, but were modified, weather modified by DARPA or whatever, that will go into the ocean and threaten the coastline, and a bunch of people get together and say, let's send some energy over there and dissipate it. And I've seen this happen countless times, right? So I don't know. This is it's an interesting crossroads, almost like every day. Like, which way are we going to go here? Are we going to choose ourselves and therefore choose each other? Or are we going to continue to be entrenched and attached? And this is getting deep, because it's not just what your government tells you to do, or what your religion tells you what to do, or whatever organization tells you what to do, or your partner tells you what to do, or whatever, any external. It's not just that. It's the subtle second nature things that we have ingrained in us that are not just from this lifetime. The things that created the natural instinct to follow and not question, and so on. This is a true sovereignty liberation movement, and it's only between me and the universe, right? Like, we can talk about it, but I've got to make my move. Everyone has their own piece, and we've come into alignment with what is our role. We become comfortable with that. We've become comfortable in our own skin. And yet, at the same time, we're interfacing with what we might say the old. Like, if you heard me talk about that trip with my family, like, I'm in this, swimming in this water with all these people that I've known all my life, and I've been on the outside. Yet, I'm having these heart-opening, very obvious, irrefutable connections with each and every one of them. So, what is it? Is it everybody rising, or am I on a different timeline with a different aspect of me and them? Well, it doesn't even matter, nor am I ever going to figure that out. But it keeps going back to the same thing for me, which is why I'm headed north to the mountains, because that's the calling I'm getting. I'm going to listen to that. I don't care if gas runs out. I don't care if I have to walk, right? I don't care if I have to ride a donkey, whatever the case is. That I'm not going to allow, like he said that you quoted, I'm not from this world. And that was part of my message too the other day. None of us are. We're from beyond this place. And so all of these identities that attach us to the old grid, you might say, to include, and mostly, and really above all else, belief systems. We can find anything we want to validate our existence, to reinforce our argument, which is really the ego's way of trying to hang on. This is becoming way beyond vulnerability, way beyond authenticity. It's pure transparency. That's exactly what it is. And it's definitely the trajectory that we're on. Now, will we get there? What will happen? Will we, go up to heaven like Enoch and not have a death, or, whatever the case is? I think this is the potential that we have, because I remind myself every day to stay humble, and that any and all things that have been brought to me, whether it be a person, an adversary, a loving family member, or any other situation, place, or anything, that is part of me. What does that mean? That means it's more information, more code that allows me to make a more discernible choice. Through weighing everything. It's not just me and you are one. It's everything. And I know that sounds new age-ish and all that stuff, but this is a real deal. I'm getting to the point where I believe more and more every day that I can actually make this jump and not leave this vessel. Like, I feel like
I agree. I mean,
that's a level of
I have
technology
to
that we
jump
have.
in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta jump in because you were talking about you having um, some of the attacks that you recently have had, right? And this kind of war that's going on. And I believe what's happening is that this war is being waged now inside of us. Every time we choose, right? We get we choose the right. I don't believe in good or bad. I believe there's a right choice for you, and like a positive choice and a negative choice that you can make. And um, a lot of it is fear based that we make these. And I believe we need to do this internal work so that we can rule over that external blame, right? That's casting down on us, and tell this ruler of the world. And I believe slowly it's like, with you, it's getting out. It's every one of us. It's moving out of us and out of our senses, out of our channels, out of our inner world, or excuse me, out of our external world. And we're getting into our inner world so we can feel this uncovering of the soot that we have, this soot that just is all over us. And um, the ashes of our past and the prison walls that are there that can be broke down for. And I think it's hard work. You're going through it. We all, I think, this demiurge's greatest trick is making us believe that the answer is somewhere else. Oh, I have several students that, oh, I'm doing that course over here and I'm doing that one. And I'm like, that's great. Go and do that. But you got to find you, right? If this is right for you, everyone's out there doing a whole bunch of different things thinking it's going to work. But it's not the next thing that it's not the next system. It's not the next anything. It's realizing that it's now.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
but
no, you didn't interrupt me. I was finished. But yeah, I love
okay.
I love Joseph Campbell, and I always say this. People probably get tired of me saying it, but he says, uh, I think I almost have the quote verbatim: "Is eternity? There is no time in eternity. There is no time." So basically, what he says is, it's all right here. It's all right here, and that's what John was talking about in the previous show. This presence, and it's beyond these words in the New Ageism. It's being present, and which is what, being more aware of yourself. Why did the Universal start this whole game? To get it to know itself better. But how do you know yourself better? By movement, by trying things, by choosing things, and he says if you can't get it here, you won't get it anywhere. And this is really crazy because it's such a seemingly complicated field in this finite field, but it's really a beautiful infinite simplicity. And so it's kind of weird to be able to begin walking in this manner because there's so little in the field. You know what I mean? There's more, but there's less. Less is more, right? Like you can see things for what they are, and people are starting to pick up on this. They're starting to gain higher telepathic abilities. It's becoming a more of a collective thing. It's seeping out into those family members that we thought would never get there. You know what I mean? We're starting to understand that our thoughts projected towards others, particularly ourselves, which is really where it matters most, they're real things. If I think something less than good of you, that goes into the field. I don't know how powerful your orb of your Taurus field is. You might have a trauma that my bad thought goes into and affects you. Like we're really affecting each other. When you start talking about this country's crazy and that country's crazy, I mean, it's one big propaganda psyops. That's what it is. And so we're starting to get to the point where we're starting to realize that in order to create a new box, so to speak, you're going to have to step out of the damn box. And we're talking all the way. It's an all or nothing proposition. Oh, well, I have to get car insurance or they're going to come get my car. Well, then fuck it. Let them have the car. I have to pay taxes. Well, really? Do you really? I haven't paid in 26 years. I haven't filed in 26 years. I didn't know what I was doing or why I did it the first time. It just was something that came into me. We have this still small voice that always listened. Now it's talking. Now it's becoming our voice. And this is, like my friend says, instead of me, myself, and I, she says, me, my higher self, and I. We are our higher selves. We all are in the potential of the field to be channeling constantly and always. And the last line of resistance is this universal, paradoxical uh, catalyst, which is the implant we might call the ego, which is really part of us too. It's just been manipulated or we've consented, and it doesn't even matter how we got here. It's been so dominant that this is what we're basically weaning ourselves off of. And it's you're right. It's not an easy thing, but it's getting better and better and better. But I'm convinced that it's happening through these bold moves that people make. And these bold moves are typically atypical, unconventional, make no sense, and you really have to have thick skin. Uh, and that means
Mm.
that you've got to love yourself higher and higher and higher degrees. Because look, we've all been in this game a long time, and I can point to several people on the show, including me, that as late as February were saying, "Get me the hell out of here." But I have a feeling the universal is not going to allow any of us to leave at this point. I think we're in now. If we haven't left the reservation by now, I don't believe we are. And I believe part of the reason that is because we want to be here. We want to be here not just to witness a transformation, but to be in body while we do it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's something that as you know, we say the word just such a wonderful way to view things that I'm always searching for that knowing every day. I'm studying my traditional Chinese medicine. I study herbs and how, so Qigong is kind of a little bit like, if you want to think of it, physical therapy, because I do medical Qigong, so I can help someone. If it's like, say they have a kidney issue, I can give them certain Qigong exercises to help your kidney function and help you use your energetic meridian system to boost your kidney. And so I believe that we're just stirring this pot of energy, that we are transforming it. And a lot of us are figuring it out little by little. That's why I have my Chi Flow Academy, that I spent a lot of money trying to figure out all this and um, this internal work. And I think everyone should know. So I give pretty much give it away to people. So if you're interested, certainly come to Chi Flow Academy and check it out. And if you're interested in Qigong or Tai Chi or um, even just getting in touch with your nervous system by breath, and we can do it right now, actually. I love teaching this one. And it's a good one to do if you need to calm your nervous system before a meeting. It's the 4-7-8 breath. So you breathe in for, a lot of people probably already know this one. You hold your breath for 7. I like it if you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth while you're holding your breath. And then you breathe out for 8. And then you breathe in 4. So it's a very calming, relaxing way to us, for us to unconsciously kind of tap in quickly through our breath, just by calming our nervous system.
Yeah, I think the breath is vastly underrated, just as the sunshine. Um, that form of light, photonic light. But like I started diving into this stuff at 22 years old, and I read voraciously. And around 25, I had a couple of kundalinis, right? And it specifically came from this one book that I had, because I tried different breathing exercises. And after 3 or 4 nights, I have a kundalini, and the second one scared the hell out of me, so I shut it down, because I literally had the kundalini. Then I was laying on my bed, and I felt my foot get off the bed like I'm getting up, right? So I knew, like, I'm not ready for this. But recently, I started to pay a little more attention, because I'm not the best light worker practicer. You know what I mean? I'm not real conventional. I do my own thing, whatever. But I started to play with it. I started to play with box breath, and I started to play with some of the type I was using before, which I won't get into all the details, the type that induced this Kundalini experience. And I've been using breath to calm myself quickly for a long, long time, when I was conscious enough to do it. You know what I mean? But this brought something to the table. It was right before I left Mexico, and it brought something else to the table, because I was going through a lot of things at the time. But it started to take me into that same realm, in that same mode, I guess you would say. John was talking about on the previous show how he doesn't need anything. He can go out there. And that's what started happening. I started to, shoot out, and I'm like, oh, let me come back. Shoot out, let me come back. So I really feel like that there's a lot to be said for that. And also for, well, I guess really leading back to the original state of this particular leg of the journey, which you call, human being or humanoid or whatever you want to call it, where we subsisted off of light and breath, right? Like, this is why I think so many people are finding out right now, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm asking anybody, we're eating less. We just can't hold everything anymore. Like, there's something about the physical replication of lightness of being that's occurring in these bodies, which would make total sense if the carbon-based body is converting to crystalline and light body, and which I'm a absolute 100% believer. And with that comes so many attributes of the light body, which is again going to defy, based on human physics, space and time, right? So it's all kind of coming together. And I do think it's
Oh, it
centered. It's
is.
centered right here.
It so is. We are this light body, and you just touched on such a wonderful subject um, that we are eating less because our light body, as we remove this stagnation, we don't need to replace it then again with more of that food. We need to replace it with light. And so then our organs then are being filled then with light, not by the stagnation that the food could possibly provide. And so I think that's just a great, when you said that, I'm just like, yes, because I'm trying to get people to see how, and they are, I mean, GLP-1's out there. Everyone's trying to eat less now. It's not like these quick ways. I mean, it is a quick way to lose weight, but before it was, you know, I'm going to try some new thing for 3 months. And that's been my challenge, is trying to get people to understand that, losing weight is a long-term thing. It took a long term for you to get fat, that's what happened. And it's going to take a long term for you to try to remove that from your body. I mean, I was 210 pounds just less than 15 years ago, and I'm
I didn't
120
know
now. I've
that.
been 120 for,
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
I was
I didn't.
fat.
I didn't know
hmm
that.
I
That's
was on
yeah.
20. Yeah, I was on 20 pharmaceuticals. I couldn't walk. I had a really stressful job. Stress, stress, stress. And stress does that to you. I know now what to do with stress, and either help me to identify it so I can get rid of it, or work with it. But we all have stress, and we need to work and figure out how to manage it in our own bodies, and move it on through. But I had a very challenging time, and I lost the weight through qigong. But it's going to be a process. It's not something that goes really quick. GLP-1's out there though for all of you, and it'll work. Um, and a lot of us are wanting to now lose all that weight you're talking about. I think that there's this light body wanting to be refined.
Well, I'm even talking about, like, even in my own case, because I love to cook and eat, and but I'm just finding I can't. I can eat a couple times a day, sometimes once a day. But a lot of people I'm talking to are saying, I just can't eat. Even if I'm not even trying to lose weight, I just can't eat. Like, it's just not happening. So I don't know what that is, but there's definitely something in the water,
Mm.
and it is starting to take. Because I remember, like, doing the show, going back about 2.5 years ago. Um, People started coming on the show, and there's a lot of common themes as we evolve that seem to be reflected on the show, just like in our lives. And they were saying, like, my body's talking to me. My body's becoming a voice. My body's letting me know this, and it's letting me know that. So now, to me, it's like, okay, if we've gone through all these layers, now we're right there, front and center with the body. This is our vessel. You can't get any more, at ground zero than this. Then we must be either crossing that threshold now or on the verge. I believe we're crossing it as we speak into this new place. And I guess everything is a vibration, and you go up, you come down, you go up, you come down. But where you came down this last time was where you were up the time before. So we're in a sense ascending. And there's so much to be said for that. And there's so many things that are parallel to that. If you even look at the emotional well-being of people, people over the last few years in these circles, at least in these conversations, have come to terms with the various emotions that we have, learning what it is to have unbridled emotions, how that doesn't serve us. You talked about the nervous system, which has been on point, and I don't think you can get any more embodiment than to be, in direct connection with your nervous system. That was a real. I heard people talk about it on this show, even going back 5, 6 years, and I'd be like, I don't resonate, but I don't relate. I don't understand it, kind of thing. But man, I do now, because you can feel
Well,
stuff instantly. It's like you talk about a red flag. You talk about PTSD, because we all have it, right? You just start to breathe, start to relax, go for a walk, sit in nature, and boom, it's done. Thank you.
yeah, it's our nervous system works with this thing now they're studying, our fascia. They didn't even know exactly. They just thought it was some weirdo organ. Oh, and they weren't even sure it was an organ actually. But our fascia is this quantum being within us that sends everything out. It's the thing where you feel the butterflies, you feel the tingles, things can move, and I think it's the fascia kind of moves from our, if you look at your nervous system, it moves out from our center being and is the response from our heart and our brain connecting together. And they're going to learn so much more about it and how we can connect into this organ and and better understand our own self and our own body, right? And the movement that energy plays in this fascia.
Yeah, that's a big subject. That's come up a lot. Sacred Self Muse says fascia is like the mycelium network. I've read more and more on the fascia in the last, I want to say 3 or 4 months. Because again, I've had people come on. Denise Chadwick talks about it. A few other people talk about it. When I started reading about it, I thought, well, I don't remember them saying this. They probably did, but I wasn't paying attention or something. I wasn't registering. But it's literally like, it's not even, I was thinking like threads, like tendons, ligaments. This is like almost like a paste, like a glue. It's like what am I trying to say? A membrane. Like it's
Yeah,
like a, you know what I mean? And it's got, it's got both the ability. It's almost like nervous network, the nervous system network, as well as the muscular and somatic. Where light can transmit, impulses can transmit. I didn't make the connection like with butterflies and that, but that makes sense to me because it's kind of like in its own category or its own group over here. You can't really, classify it with some of these other things that have basic structures in common. So, yeah, these things are, and again, these things are coming to the surface at this time for a reason. We got to remember as well that for the last 15 years or so, information, let's say the internet, the tech, with the expansion of it, which is really a reflection of us because we're the real tech. Think about the speed of information, the speed of knowledge that is accelerating more and more rapidly as the days go by. So for these things to be coming to the surface now, I'm with you. Like, what's next, and where does the next part of this go? See, yeah. And she was saying too, it also holds a somatic stored energy and information. Bingo.
oh, it does. And so
you know.
the somatic, your somatic flow is just like they're just touching on what somatic is and the connection that our mind, body, and spirit have. And so we're a conduit. We're a conduit between heaven and earth. We're this energetic battery, I believe, if you will. We can either be fully charged or not. And, we all have to die, but we have to constantly be refilling this battery until that time.
Mm, mm. Well, I think that remains to be seen because you have stubborn souls like me. I don't know. I don't know. Why would there be a discussion of? And again, we have to take everything with discernment, right? 1,000 years apiece, 2,000 years apiece. It feels like, yeah, like we're gonna have an after party. And is it Todd? Is it Lynn? Is it other aspects of it? Is it all of the above? I mean, I remind myself daily too, because I interact with so many energies, I guess with what I do, and not necessarily on a personal level like this, but like even reading somebody's post or whatever, and I'll just get like, okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. Oh, well, don't just pick that because it substantiates your opinion, or and then I just get to this point like, you know what? Nobody knows. Nobody knows how this unfolds. Like we might have some basic elements, but tomorrow there'll be a higher truth. And that's really the beauty of it. I think I always ask that question: have you always been this weird, or did you have a wake up experience? And I had this. I think she was about 16 years old. Came on the show. We've had some young people, and she says to me, I said, I said something about, have you had a wake up experience? Yeah. And she says, yeah, I did. And I said, when? She goes, this morning. I said, that's the best answer I've ever heard. And it's coming from the 16-year-old. But yeah, that's the thing about it, to be present, really to truly be present. That would only make sense to me, that you let go of everything that's happened right up to this moment. Like it doesn't have a hold on you. You have the context of it, you have the memory of it, but it doesn't move you off your square, right? It's a very fluid. Again, going back to movement, it's like spiritual inertia. It just keeps going. It just keeps going, and either we're in this self-induced insomnia, or amnesia. I'm sorry, of forgetfulness,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not seeing the movement. Even though we're moving, kind of like getting to the point where we got to a few years ago, which was we're creating all of this, and then you get to the next level and you go, oh, I've been unconscious that we're creating all of this. Now we can start to live consciously, and this is where I think we're coming into the fold now, where certain methods, certain protocols and procedures and habits and rhythms, disciplines, practices are starting to help us to embed and embody even to a greater degree, if nothing else, from the intentions that are behind it to better ourselves.
Right? I mean, a lot of us are just in survival mode, and but we need to be in truth mode. So I mean, either it's negative, positive, truth or a lie. I mean, and it's just coming to a head. It's truth at the end of the day. It's how we energetically know what's right for us. And it's only our truth. It's not someone else. Your truth and my truth are two different things, but it has to be. So you're not in survival mode, that you're in your truth, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And survival. That's
Yeah.
another thing. That's another thing that always blew my mind too, because how can a soul survive if it never dies? Right? Like, so it doesn't even make any
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once you
yeah.
know the truth, it's there. It's and you can't unknow it. And
Mm.
I think it's just these little knowings that, right,
Yeah.
we're all discovering.
Yeah, I love what Dick Gregory says. Or you, yeah, he's transitioned, but I mean, he would say, when when you put on the universal glasses, you can never take them off. And so it's like that old saying of, be careful what you ask for, because you do start to see everything in a different light, and part of that evolution, which is really the contrast, so we can have more to pull from, and therefore we have a higher vantage point. But in the evolution, the human experience, it's not all fluffy love and light. It's, if you go back to the example of the body and the type of work you do, these pockets, these concentrations of blockages, or even implants, or however you want to identify that. In my relationship with my body, which really picked up a couple of years ago, I was kind of shown that, like, I'm going to release this. And then my soul will come in and say, no, you're not releasing nothing. You're just breaking it up so it can go back to the part of the body or the neighborhood that it belongs in, right? And then, of course, there's this relationship that just came to me maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, where I started to go visit my organs. Now, it's something I've done before, but not like this. And I started to get information about colors, about relationships to particular star systems, or so like everything is related, which led me to the point of, wait a minute, everything is in here. I can find Lynn in here. I can find France in here. I can go to Venus in here. Like everything is in here. And then if you look at some of the early stuff, like Hermes or Thoth, or
Mhm.
even the Bible, or other disciplines, as within, without, as above, below, which is it sounds like, hey, if I do this here, then I'll get that there, but really it's a simultaneous reaction. I love myself, and I know that I love everything external of me equal to me. I can't love it more, I can't love it less. And so there is an element of self sourcing, self accountability, self responsibility, self healing, self alignment. That is a mutual proposition at all times.
Right?
Mm.
Oh,
So, hey,
my phone battery's ready to die.
that's okay.
I gotta plug in here. Hold on.
We only got a couple of minutes. All right. Hey, listen, I want to see if you can
All
do
right.
something. What I want to see before we go, if there's anything,
Yeah.
you don't have to do this if you don't want to. Is there anything that's fairly basic that you can share with us that we might be able to practice? And I know it's rudimentary, and I know it's just a basic kind of thing, but that might be qigong, tai chi, breathing, or anything that might be able to help someone today, to just to be in a better state of balance, or to use as kind of a go-to.
Yeah, let's do something. Let me see if I can get
Oh,
my
you're getting out of the chair.
thing.
Yeah, we are going to do something. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see me there. Yeah, you
Yeah, I
can.
think
All
so.
right.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So this is a really good one for central channel. And so we turn from our hips and waist and we knock on our door of life. This is our door of life. Everything comes back here. It's our kidney area. And when we lose life, it just kind of sucks back down and comes back down into here. And so this one you can teach to anyone today and you can learn it. So you're turning from your hips and waist and you're knocking on your kidneys and you're giving your kidneys some little love, putting some blue light, nice breath of blue light into your kidneys. And I want your knees bent. You're looking around the room. This is really a good one for your eyes. And you're just natural breathing, but I want you just to breathe in and out your nose. And that first helps tonify our body. And now we can purge. So now let it go out your mouth with each breath. All right. And now just let your arms flop till they stop. And now I want you to just stop and see how you feel. Ah, that's your nervous system. And you just woke it up a tiny. So there you go.
Far out. That was perfect. That was perfect. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
yeah, it was good reconnecting with you. I look
Yeah,
forward
you
to the
too.
yeah, I look forward to the next time we can do this. And I just want to say to you, thank you again for coming in and sharing space with us. And blessings of peace, love, and grace to you and everyone out there, and your loved ones, and all the endeavors you're getting into. And I also want to give a shout out to you and Sufi. You're doing a podcast. I saw a few minutes of this one 3 or 4 days ago, which is, I think, part of the reason I reached out to you. Anyway, what's the name of that podcast, and where can people tune in?
So it's called Sage and Sifu, and it's on my YouTube channel. And basically, I am trying to get out all this hidden knowledge. My Sifu was a student of Shan and Po, who were these Chinese nationalists and dignitaries, and who, with just their internal power, could get into this, we call it sung, and they could push someone just like this, and they go flying across the room. But it's all energetic. So I'm trying to get through this little podcast the knowledge out little by little. We'll see if he talks.
Yeah. I saw an episode of, I think it was 60 Minutes years ago, like in the 80s, and there was this it was about Chinese medicine. It was a 4-part series, and there was this one part where there was this, I guess, what do you call it, a dojo, or it was a outdoor plaza kind of thing, and there was this old man like about your size, and they had all these students that would show up every day. They didn't pay you. I don't know if you might have could slept there. I don't know. Some were Westerners, and it was kind of like that kung fu movie series back with David Carradine. You can snatch the pebble out of my hand, you can leave. So the students would line up to rush this guy one by one, and he would just do that. Like he wouldn't touch him, and they would send him flying.
Hmm.
So it's a real deal. It's a real deal, and I think we've all had.
It is real. It's a
Yeah,
real deal. It really is.
yeah,
And that's the transformation.
mm,
I mean, my little person, I probably could push someone big, where little effort on my part to where they wouldn't hurt me and I could hurt them tremendously, but it's all transformation.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Hey, thank you so much. I will see you
You're
on this
welcome.
side. I'll see you on this side, the other side, and hopefully I'll see you on both.
Oh, there we go. Thank you for having me and we'll talk when we talk. Bye for now.
Okay, you take care. Bye bye. I'll see you later. Thank you so much.
All righty.
Thank you, everybody.